Hello, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. So let's get started. It's 12:30 p.m. here, and I'm back in Michigan. So thank you very much for joining me live here on YouTube. So in today's session, we will be mainly talking about admissions and scholarships in American universities. So I know there are some other people which are going to be joining us in probably in the next few minutes. So let's give maybe another couple minutes or so before we formally get started. But in the meantime, for those of you guys who are new, I would like to first introduce myself. My name is Waseem Haider, and I am a professor of mechanical and materials engineering at Central Michigan University. So, in this session, in today's live session, we'll briefly talk about the undergraduate admissions, and then we will focus more on a master's and a PhD admissions, and how to get admission and how to get scholarships. So, I know most of you guys wanted to get scholarships, and that's why it is very important to clearly explain what are the things you need to get admission and to get scholarships. So I would say just hold on to your questions towards the end. And so in the last 15 minutes or so, I'll try to answer. I'll try to answer your questions. Sounds good. I know that you have already started a lot of questions. So once again, please hold on to your questions. Because if there are too many of them, it would be hard for me to read and answer each one of them. So once I tell you, then you can start typing it in your questions. Sounds good. I see that we have about 25 people live here, and so let's get started. Okay, I have two screens right next to me, so I can read the questions and at the same time, go live. Okay, so once again, my name is Waseem Haider, and I'm a professor of mechanical and materials engineering at Central Michigan University. So those of you guys who want to join as an undergraduate student, meaning that who wants to come here for a for a bachelor's degree, for a BA or a BSc degree, then you must have either A levels or intermediate like FSC, right, or high school done. Um, in general, it is a little bit difficult to get the fully funded undergraduate admission in the US unless if you are really, really top student. I think I've seen only, up till now, I've seen only couple people who got fully funded scholarships, those who came from Pakistan. Okay. So one thing which I want to let you know is that you don't have to have your FSC done to apply for admissions. If you have completed your first year, you still have one more year to go before you finish your FSC or a high school, or if you have already done your O levels and now you are in A levels but you haven't completed your A levels, you can still apply for admission. So that's number one thing. Uh, in general, for undergraduate admissions, there is a common app. You can Google Common App. That's a common application you can fill for many, many universities in the United States. And in general, other than that, you have to submit your fully completed application form. You would be submitting your TOEFL or IELTS English proficiency exam. A lot of schools nowadays are accepting Duolingo, PTE, and other exams. So you can take any of those exams, to apply formally into the undergraduate admissions. If your GPA is high, although SAT or ACT are not required for most of the schools in the United States, but if you do have those scores, which are, by the way, which are conducted, this SAT and ACT exams are conducted almost all over the world, and they are not very expensive exams. And if you want to increase your chances for getting admission and for getting scholarship, I think then you must consider taking SAT or ACT. Okay. Other than that, of course, your high school grade point average or your marks or your grades in general from A levels are, or even from O levels are very important, because by the time when you're applying, you don't have your A level results, right? So they will be mainly looking at your O level grades. So again, and after that you also have to write either a statement of purpose or an admission essay. Make sure that you spend some time, write that essay by yourself. Of course, you can always get it corrected from your professor, from your parents or your siblings or anybody you think that they are knowledgeable enough to to correct your essay. So after you get it, after you get all the corrections and everything, sit down, rework on it, make it even nicer before you formally apply. So these are in general, like procedures to get admissions. And once you do get admission, then you can always contact the either the admissions department or the international office or the department directly and request for the scholarships. Okay, there are several scholarships also available for international students, but a lot of time you have to reach out to one of those offices or to all of those offices, again, either admissions office, international students office, or the department or the college, right? So that to see what kind of different scholarships are available for undergraduate students. So in general, this is all about undergrads. I know most of you guys are interested in graduate studies, meaning for your master's and a doctoral degree. So I'll go in a little bit more detail about these programs, about the graduate programs. The first thing is, if you have the 16 years of education, okay, if you have, so 12 years of your FSC or A levels, and then 4 years of bachelor's degree, or 2 years of bachelor's and 2 years of master's degree. So if you have 16 years of education, then you can directly apply into a PhD program. You don't have to have your master's, you don't have to have your MPhil in America or outside America to get into the PhD program. I know many of you guys were very confused about these requirements, but I wanted to make sure that I'm very clear that if you have 16 years of education, whether it's a 4 years bachelor's degree or 2 years bachelor's and 2 years master's degree, then you don't need to have master's or MPhil to get into the PhD program. Okay, that's number one thing. Now, secondly, in general, you should apply about 10 months or 1 year in advance. You should start preparing for your application. So right now is a great time to apply for fall 2025, which means August 2025 applications are just going to open, or they will be opening within the next month or two. So right now, if I were a student, what I would do is to go online, and try to, I mean, especially, of course, the first step is the university selection. There are literally hundreds of schools in the United States. And so you wanted to find out, how can I apply? There are so many schools. Which one should I select? I wanted to get admission. I wanted to get a scholarship. And of course, you wanted to go into a high ranked first tier universities or top tier universities. So how to select those universities, right? So I would just say, go Google it, usnewsranking.com, right? Or just put their US News ranking. And once you get to the ranking, whatever your field is, if your field is psychology, let's say, just put in the psychology, right at the in the search bar, and it'll list all the schools and rank them according to the psychology department. Or you can, of course, look at overall ranking if your department is physics, chemistry, or history, or mechanical engineering, or civil engineering. Whatever your field is, just go put in there. That will give you the ranking of the universities in the US. Again, there is no difference. There's literally no difference between a public or a government sector or a private sector universities. I know in many countries, private universities are not encouraged, or that people think that they are not good, but that's not the case in the United States. Many private universities are top ranked universities, such as Harvard, MIT. Many top institutions are private. The University of Pennsylvania, these are private institutions, and they are Brown University. They are very good schools, right? So you don't really have to say, oh, you know what, I only wanted to go to a public sector university. I would highly encourage you to apply for all across the board. Okay, so once you select universities, let's say you can select maybe from the US News ranking, you can select maybe about at least 15 universities. And now I want you to go to website of each university and try to look for their admission requirements. So when you look for the admission requirements, obviously you're going to see what's their application fee, what's the minimum requirement for TOEFL, or if they require GRE or GMAT or LSAT or any other exam, right? How many letters of recommendation they need. You need to look at all those requirements. If they need your portfolio, for example, for architecture students and so on and so forth, right? If they want you to submit your writing sample. So you need to go and look at the admission requirements in detail. Once you look at the admission requirements, you know, try to put yourself uh, in their shoe and try to see if you fulfill those requirements for admission, or if in the near future you think that you would have all the requirements to qualify for admission. If you think that you are a good fit, then I would just say you can, out of those 15 universities, you might want to select 8 or 10 universities. So where you think you will be applying, right? Um, a lot of universities have an application fee, which is usually somewhere between $20, $30 to about 100 or $150. But the good news is that a lot of universities, if you explain them that that you if you request them for the application fee waiver, they can waive your application fee. Of course, one way you could do is that you could say that, you know what, this $100 application fee is 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 half of my salary, let's say. Whatever the salary you're making, let's say if you're doing a job or something, or if that's your parents' salary or so on and so forth, and you can explain them that this is a lot of money in your country and that's why you won't be able to pay this much. Other times, if you apply on a certain dates or in a certain month, several universities or several schools would also waive your application fee. So you also have to watch out and look for that. Let's say the university can say, okay, if you apply in the month of October, you do not have to pay application fee. So make sure you have all the requirements completed, you have all the documents ready so that you can upload or either submit, and make sure you submit your application. If they ask you to submit, let's say, a free application in October or November or December, whatever they are saying, make sure you follow those instructions very, very carefully. Okay. So anyways, once you have selected the universities, you can, if you have any confusions, make sure to reach out to either to a graduate program director, or you can reach out to the head of the department. These are the two main point of contacts. Of course, last but not the least could be your supervisor, your potential supervisor. If you want to work in a particular lab, you can always get in touch with those professors, especially once you visit their website. And if it says something like that he or she is looking for students, for master's or PhD students, and they have scholarships available. Most of these, so we'll talk in a 1 minute about a little bit more in detail about how the universities in the US offer scholarships and what are the different categories for these scholarships. Anyways, so you can reach out to either the group graduate program director, department chair, or your potential supervisor. And instead of just saying that, oh, I'm from a poor family, or, or giving any other reason, instead you should say that, that you are very interested into his or her research. And of course, you have to be genuinely interested, right? And at the same time, you can just make yourself available that you are ready to either appear in interview, or you would love the opportunity to talk about this possible PhD opening in more detail, right? And or you can also offer that I would be happy to give a presentation. Every single time, if a professor tells you that, oh, let's meet over the Zoom or WebEx, make sure you have like 5 to 10 minutes of presentation, maybe about 5 to 10 slides ready when they ask you for interview. Okay. And that slides could include basically maybe one or two slides, a little introduction about yourself. It's kind of your CV, but in a little bit more in more like in a presentation mode. Then you, if you have done any previous research, if you have any research background, make sure you highlight those. And of course, you have to put it in such a way that it's somehow you have to make it relevant to your current positions. And even if it's not relevant, still put it there so that you can show that you have done some research in the past. Similarly, if you have any particular research interest or your future research interest, make sure you put those ones as well. So try to be more, a little bit more vocal. Make sure you are on time. Time is very, very important. If you're told that your interview is at 10:30, make sure you are online maybe 2 to 3 minutes before your presentation or before your interview. Okay. Also, now as far as the application materials are concerned, initially for the admission, so you would need a statement of purpose. That's usually 1 to 2 page document. Sometimes people would write into 3 pages, but I would not go more than 3 pages. Make sure you have the statement of purpose. Again, that statement of purpose can tell a little bit about your background. Why are you interested in this particular university? Why are you interested in this particular department? Or why are you interested in this particular research topic or a particular professor? Make sure, try to be as real and as genuine as possible. Instead of just being very, fancy, try to be more real, try to be more realistic and explain the reasons why are you interested in those educations. Very quickly, I just wanted to let you know, for those of you guys who joined a little bit later. So I briefly explained about the admission process for undergraduate, and now we are talking about master's and PhD, and then we'll talk about admissions and scholarships, and then towards the end, please hold on to on your questions, and then towards the end, I can try to answer as many questions as you can. Okay. Okay, so with that being said, now as far as the when once you know in general the admission requirements are going to be your completed application form, you need to have your statement of purpose. As we were talking about statement of purpose, you're going to be talking about your background. You're going to be talking about why are you interested in the particular research or department, and how you think it would help you. How can you be a positive, or how can you be a great member of the team, and so on and so forth. There are several samples available online. I have made some videos, at least 1 or 2 videos on statement of purpose. You can watch on my YouTube channel. By the way, I'm a professor, so I just try to help students to get these admissions and get these scholarships. Okay. Apart from that, in general, you need 3 recommendation letters, and those recommendation letters need to you would have to request your current or your previous professors or your job, your like employers, your bosses, where you work, so those who can comment about your studies, about your academic life, about your non-academic, about your qualities, and so on and so forth. So in general, you would need 3 recommendation letters. I know professors are busy, but if you start, couple months before the deadline, then it would always be. So if I were you, I would ask maybe 2 to 3 months before the deadline. I need 3 letters. I would probably contact 5 or 6 professors or my previous bosses or the current boss, and try to request them for the letters. And then a week or 2 week later, I would remind them again. I said, hey, you know what? I'm still waiting for your letters. I would highly appreciate if you can take some time out and write me a letter. A lot of times they would receive a web link, and in that web link, if they click on it, they would need, either they are automatically logged in or they would log in into the system. And then there is usually some like a questionnaires, like maybe 5 or 10 questions. And then at the end, they can upload a 1 or 2 page recommendation letter on that portal. Anyways, so those letters are, if you can get the letters from the people who are famous, who are well known in their field, I think that can be very helpful. And if they are a graduate from an American university or from the same university where you're applying, that can also be very, very helpful, right? So this is a little bit about the recommendation letters. Another thing is, is the standard tests, right? So GRE, graduate record examination in general, is not required in the US, especially after COVID. It was strictly required, but now most of the universities, most of the schools do not require GRE. However, but if you do have a GRE, and especially if you have a good score, that may enhance your scholarship chances. So if you want, you can take GRE exam. GRE exams are conducted every day in many, many countries. So if you want to increase your chances of getting acceptance, uh, or if you want to increase your chances of getting scholarship, then I would encourage you to take GRE. That can be very, very helpful. Okay. Um, Other than that, same thing for GMAT. If you are going into the management, business, economics, and those fields, you might require, you might or might not require GMAT. Most of the schools, I think, have waived GMAT as well. But again, that can be very helpful if you have the score. Similarly, um, there's also a subject GRE. Like if you are applying in physics, then you can always take a physics GRE, and that can also enhance your chances of getting scholarship. But most of the schools do not require that. However, you must have the English proficiency test, such as TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo, and so on and so forth. So again, you have to see if your university accepts. Most of the schools would accept TOEFL and GRE, but not all the schools would take Duolingo, right? So Duolingo, you have to make sure wherever you're applying, you have to make sure that your university is accepting Duolingo scores. Okay, so once you have all these requirements kind of completed, and in the meantime, while you're completing your applications, or just before you started formally applying to the school, you can always contact some professors and ask them, very friendly, how to write an email to a professor. Again, I have a video on that. You can watch those ones. And I clearly and very simply try to explain what you're going to be writing and how will you be writing to approach a professor, so that he or she can, if he or she's looking for any PhD, master's or PhD candidate, then you can formally approach them and ask them that you are interested in this program and or in their research, and so on and so forth, so that they can consider you as one of the potential applicants. Anyways, so, and if you do get a green light, so a lot of times the US professors will not tell you very, very straightforwardly. They may just tell you, okay, I think your background is pretty good, you're welcome to join my group. So that's a very positive sign. Then it means that you should go ahead on the university website or the university portal and go ahead and formally apply there. So in general, there are two things. So most of the funding comes from the professor as a research assistant, right? So in general, in the US, when we talk about master's or PhD scholarships, so we are talking about graduate assistantships. So of course, now the question is, what is a graduate assistantship? So graduate assistantship is a graduate student who's a master's or a PhD student, and he or she is going to be working for the department or for the college or for the professor. So let's say if you work in a lab for a particular professor, then you are his or her research assistant. If you work for the department or the college as a TA, which is a teaching assistant, so they can offer you graduate teaching assistantship. Or sometimes they would general offer you graduate assistantship, where you could be teaching for, let's say, 10 hours and 10 hours per week, and then you're going to be also doing research for 10 hours a week. In general, students are allowed to work in the US for 20 hours a week. So you could be full-time, which is a 20 hours of a TA, teaching assistant, or you could be a full-time RA, which is a research assistant, or you could be a combination of TA and RA-ship. In general, if you get a TA or RA-ship, your tuition fee is 100% covered. In general, Most of the universities, when they give you a PhD admission, they give you a full scholarship, which means all of your tuition, like 100% of your tuition is covered. And at the same time, they're going to give you a bi-weekly or a monthly stipend. Nowadays, the stipend in the US is anywhere between maybe $1,800 to about $3,000 a month, right? So either they can give you on monthly basis or they give you every well, like every 2 weeks. So let's say if your salary or if your stipend is going to be $2,400, either they can pay you at the end of the month $2,400, or they can give you $1,200 for the first 2 weeks of the month, and then another $1,200 for the last 2 weeks of the month. Anyways, so in general, whenever these scholarships are offered, they are enough for you to survive. And if you have a spouse, like a wife or husband, and even if you have like one or two kids or three kids, you should be able to survive. I mean, you're not going to live a very lavish life, but at least you should be able to survive. And I know many of you guys are married and have kids. I also wanted to mention that all the public schools in America are free. So you do not have to pay anything for the kids' education if you decide to send them to a public school. So the money which you're gonna get, you can use this one basically for your apartment, which you're gonna rent so that you can stay with your family, and at the same time you can use it for the groceries and other expenditures. You don't really have to spend much money for your kids' education. Sounds good? So so this is how in general the procedure works. So if you are given a full like a 20 hours per week of scholarship or a TA-ship or assistantship, and your tuition fee is covered, I think it's great. Go ahead, take the offer. Of course, you can think about many, and you can always contact the department or see the website, or contact other students to learn more about the program, or to learn more about the scholarship and the life in general and the expenses and everything. But in general, America or American universities would not offer you something, a very low scholarship. I mean, there's nothing called like they cannot give you a scholarship for $500 a month, because you cannot survive in the US on $500 a month, right? So all the universities, so there are laws here that are enforced, that you would be given a minimum salary, and if you're given, of course, a full assistantship, then it should be enough for you to survive. Sometimes what they do is that instead of 20 hours, they give you 10 hours of assistantship. And now when you get a 10 hours of assistantship, it means that you're gonna, let's say if the salary for full-time TA or RA is $2,400, and that's a 20 hours of work, right? So if you're given 10 hours, it means that instead for $2,400, you would be given $1,200, right? That's a half of the salary you're gonna be getting. So now with the half of the salary, you may not be able to fully survive. You might have to bring some of your savings or from your parents or whatever, to enough for you to survive here. But in general, a lot of students who come on campus, and if they have a partial funding or if they have no funding, they can always go and work in library or in cafeteria or anywhere on campus for the extra $10, or for extra 10 hours, right? If you're given 10 hours of work as a TA or RA, then you still have another 10 hours per week, which you can work anywhere. You can work in cafeteria, you can work in library, you can work in a department, you can work as a, office secretary or whatever. So there are many opportunities you can work with, and usually professors or your department would support you and help you to get those extra 10 hours so that you can, so that you can support yourself. Okay. I think I know it's almost 30 minutes. I'll take a few more questions, and then maybe we can talk a little bit more about those ones. Sir, how many universities should we shortlist to apply? Rania was asking how many universities. I think in general, I would say you should shortlist about 15 universities in the very beginning. Okay. So there is another one. So Sadaf is asking, I want if there is any university that are $500 per credit for the master's program. Yeah, I think a lot of universities charge you by by credit hour. So whatever that amount is, let's say it could be $500, it can be $400, or it can be $900. So that you would know, let's say if you need 30 credits to complete your master's. So if per credit is $500, then you need to, right away that 500 times 30 is the total amount you need to cover your expenses. Okay. Okay. And Amna is asking tips to cover study gap in SOP or profile. Okay. I think, if, by the way, if you have a study gap, you can put it in such a way that it's not your weakness, but it's your strength. Again, if you have a study gap, you can put it in such a way, or you can explain it in such a way that it's not your weakness, but it's your strength. Let's say if you have work somewhere, then you can just be honest. You say like, you know what, I was working from the past 2 years or 4 years or 6 years to gain more practical experience before you wanted to start a graduate school. A lot of people in the US study their bachelor's degree, and then they go to the work environment. So they can work for a couple of years, or sometimes 4, 5, or 10 years, and then they go back to graduate school. I also would like to mention here that in the US, that for example, there is no age restrictions. You can be 20 years old or you can be 50 years old. You can still apply for a master's or a PhD. There's no age restriction. Whether you're married or not married, whether you're a male or a female, no matter what your nationality is, your race or your religion. In general, we do not even write all those things. We just write mainly four things: personal information. I'm talking about in your resume is your name, your email address, your physical address, and your phone number. We do not. You don't need to write whether you're male or female. You know, what's your religion, all those details. Your passport number, your date of birth. Again, as I said, whether you're 20 years old or 50 years old, it does not matter. So you can apply. So so again, so some of the things, to go back to her question, she was asking for the study gap. So if you have worked, please hold on to your questions. I have a lot of questions to answer, so I probably won't be able to go to all of them, but I'm going to try my best. So again, I've made some of my videos on SOP as well, so try to watch those videos to see how you can use some of the things to kind of cover your study gap, and so on and so forth. What are chances of getting PR after completion of PhD in US? I would just say that you have 95% chance that you'll get a PR after you complete your PhD, or even your master's, or even your bachelor's. How many universities are mentioned in 160 form? What do you mean by how many? I mean, if whatever the universities you apply, you can mention. Well, how much is GPA for securing admission for master's or PhD? In general, a lot of universities have different requirements, but a lot of time 3, 3.3, 3.4, or sometimes even 3.5. But whatever your GPA is, do apply, and of course try to if it's lower, then you can always try to add it up with other things. Yes, this Abdurrahman, yes, this information or this channel or this live session are gonna be on a YouTube, which you, for those people who are missing, or if you gonna watch it later, you can do that. How much of GPA? Okay, we already talked about that. I want to do BS cyber chemistry. Please recommend me cheap universities and requirements, please. Again, as I said, go to Google, put in university ranking, what they call it, sorry, US news ranking. You're gonna see and put their computer science. You're gonna see all the universities. Go to the university web, because there are hundreds of universities, right? So you can go to, like, pick few of them, go to their website and see how much they charge. Okay. In my case, I have a 4 years gap. I have a work experience for only 2 years. That's fine. I mean, whatever you have, try to be confident and admit it. Be realistic. Explain them, and that's fine. I mean, it's okay. Okay. For PhD students, how much minimum savings do we need to survive the first month in the US? In general, I think you would need about, for the first month, because your expenses might be a little bit higher, especially because of the rent and all those things you're going to be paying. So it might be a good idea to bring maybe $3,000 or so with you. That it would be helpful. GRE preparation tips. GRE, I would just say go to gre.org. There's a lot of application materials out there. So try to get all the information from gre.org, because then you would know what kind of questions you should expect. And of course, as far as the quantitative section is concerned, that's a math section. In general, it's a easy, but if you work hard, I think you can get a very high score. And as far as the verbal section is concerned, I think that requires a long time for you to prepare. So even if you are thinking to take GRE after 1 year, I would just say start preparing for, especially if you're looking to get a very high score, or if your particular university requires you to get a very high verbal score, then I think you need to put a lot of effort into it. Please tell me about WS evaluation. Is it mandatory? WS is the evaluation which some universities or some departments require, because remember, a lot of students are coming from many, many different countries. So some of the universities might want you to get your degrees evaluated, or sometimes they call it course by course evaluations, to see what kind of courses you have studied and what are your grades. And I think it cost like maybe a couple $100. So if your university requires that, then you can contact WES, send your transcripts, mark sheets to them, and then they would evaluate it for you, and then they will send you back, and they'll tell you what are your grades, if your degree is equivalent to bachelor's degree or master's degree, whatever the degree you have studied in your country. Once you give it to WES, they will evaluate it for you, and they will tell you if it's equal to bachelor's, master's degree or so. They will also tell you what grades you got, according to the US, and then they will also calculate your GPA and so on and so forth. Okay. So your sister, sorry, one second. Okay, I think I missed some of the questions. Sorry, I lost the track here. Okay, anyways, I'm randomly gonna pick. So which university is best for PhD? Again, as I said, Almas, that you can go to university ranking and university US News ranking. It'll tell you the top ranked university in economics in the US if you just type in economics there. Sometimes some universities may accept your English proficiency ladder, Amna, but most of the time it's always great to have IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo. Okay, you're in the seventh semester. Ryan is saying, and you'll be graduated in July 2025. Is there a bright chance? Yes, I think that's a great time for you to apply, or at least start thinking about it. Most of the applications are just about to open, or they'll be opening in a month or two. And then of course towards the end of the October, November, December, January, February are going to be the deadlines. So it's a great time for you to make yourself familiar and start thinking. I have a GPA of 65% and 3+ years of web experience. Okay. Can my web development experience? Oh, definitely, if you have a good experience, and especially if you are going to be doing research in the very similar area, I think those experience would be highly valued. Okay, Mohit is saying that he's in the sorry. Does any university offers masters leading to PhD programs? Yes, there are a lot of universities. Again, as I said, if you have a bachelor's degree, you can directly go into PhD. And once you're going into PhD, you may decide to get a master's degree also along the way. Some other universities would admit you into MS leading to PhD. So there are many options available, I think. Okay, Fatma is asking, you're in the eighth semester, public health, 3.84. I think you have very high chances, a great GPA. Of course, if you have a great GPA, the other thing is you need to be very careful when you prepare your application, your statement of purpose, your recommendation letters, your application form. If all of those things are nicely and correctly done, if they are done in a very good, well thought, well planned manner, I think you have a good chances. Okay, and Adiba is asking on the eighth semester completed in January 2025. I don't know how to apply for PhD and when. I think you can start looking into the programs now, and you should be able to file your applications probably within a month or two. Should I opt for master in public health or currently in the last semester of Pharma D? Licensing countries. I think for after your doctoral of pharmacy, you can go, of course, into public health or any other field of your choice, right? And then once you get here, you can always take your pharmacy exam, and if you pass it, then you can register here as a pharmacist. Fulbright scholarships. Again, I have a full video on a Fulbright scholarship. If you watch those ones, and if you still have questions, you can contact me. Okay, I've completed MPhil economics. What's the best options for getting admissions in double masters or PhD, and how to defend double masters? Nothing. I mean, it's okay if you have done masters in two different fields. I think that should be your strength, not your weakness, right? So I think if you're positive and if you know how to present yourself, how to carry yourself, especially on the paper, I think that would be good. What about graduate assistantship? A person is getting an offer letter from graduation, so do they need to pay the tuition? No, they don't have. In general, they don't have to pay the tuition fee. How to get the maximum chance? Each and every question in the Fulbright needs to be very well thought, very well planned, and all of your documents, everything needs to be very clear. I think then you will have a good chances. Okay, Akib is asking which university is best for chemical engineering. Again, as I said, go to university, use or Google it, US News ranking, put chemical engineering. It'll give you the list of the universities from the top onward. Okay, same thing for microbiology, Aisha, 3.7. Okay, Osama is asking, can my English certificate from the university? Sometime it would work, sometime it may not work. But again, if your university you're applying to accepts Duolingo, it's a very cheap, very easy, and a very fast exam. It's an online exam. You can go ahead, take it. It'll work out for you just fine. So don't be scared. I mean, I know many people are afraid to take TOEFL or GRE or Duolingo or GMAT. Please don't be scared. I mean, work hard, take it. If you get a good score, great, fine, apply. If you don't get it, again, there's nothing to. Many students in the U.S. they take these GRE exam or GMAT exam, and they don't do well, and they retake it, and then they retake it. It's okay to take the exam, one time or two time or three times. That's fine. Uh, okay, so my GPA is 3.02. Chemical engineering student. Yes, I mean, again, it's hard for me to say your GPA is just like on a border mark, but if you are a great student, if you have done any research, if you know how to present, interview, I think you can score. I've seen people getting full scholarship even with a GPA of 2.5. It's just that how you present yourself and how passionate you are about a particular research field or about a particular professor or a university and so on. Is there any option for students to get PhD in US with low GPA? Yes. Again, I have seen one student who had a GPA of 2.2 and he got a full scholarship. I've done masters in mathematics, now doing MPhil. Can I get admission? Yes, you can. Caspian Star, you can get that. Moeed is asking, maybe slightly off the topic. I'm going to start working on a final year project using carbon quantum dots to improve radiology. Do you have any pointers on this topic? Again, I think that's a very different topic, but I think it's a great topic to work on. So I just wish you the very best. Is Duolingo accepted in all universities? Not all, but many universities started taking Duolingo. Taking loan for a master's is worthy, and how we can. Again, I'm not going to recommend you to take or not to take loans, but what I have seen is it is. I mean, it can completely change your life, right? Even if you come here and work very hard, make your money, pay your tuition fee, you would see that it's completely worth it. So do whatever you can do legally, and get admission and come here. And by the way, once you finish your degree, there's a very big chances that you'll get a job and maybe within the few months or maybe within a couple of years, you'll get all the money back what you have invested. So nothing to worry about. Um, TA or GA, both are good if you like teaching. Again, many students work as a TA, many students work as a GA or RA. It does not really matter. I think whichever gives you, if you enjoy teaching, I would just go with TA, and anything is fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Today, I visited DePaul University's website and details of the program using PhD. There was LGBTQ students must have a master's degree confused. So maybe there could be some universities which do want you to have a master's degree before you apply to PhD. But in general, I would say good more than 90% of the universities do not require masters for the PhD. But so like in this in your case or in this university particularly is asking for a master's degree. So you have to have a master's degree before you apply. Okay, so GPA, master's GPA may not be as important as a bachelor's GPA. So Rani is asking 3.82 in bachelor's, 3.7 in master's, one publication. Okay, which ranking? I think that's a great question. So again, once you select 10 universities, if you are kind of like in a top category student, right? Your undergrad GPA is 3.8 and your master's 3.7. So you are almost in the top category. So I would select couple schools in the top category, maybe then couple schools in the medium tier universities, or and then couple schools in the lower tiers. So at least for everyone, right? I mean, of course, everybody wants to get admission at Harvard, MIT, Stanford, but just be realistic. All over the world, people are applying for these admissions. Everybody wants to get into Harvard. So be realistic. Unless if you're top of the top, I would not recommend you to apply in those universities. Okay, for MBBS student, how can we make it easy to get admissions in PhD, and will GPA effect matter? I think that's MBBS in many countries are 4 to 6 years, and then that automatically qualifies you to apply for a PhD. So I think yes, you can apply. Let's say we are applying to 10 universities. The most universities we need are free to upload the recommendation, but it's very difficult if you're applying to multiple universities. Yeah, it's basically the same letter. So, you can ask your professor or your boss that, oh, you're going to get 3 emails. You're applying to 3 different universities. So, and then he or she can go just like one time and apply to the or upload the letters in 3 schools. Yes, it's a little bit hard, but if you start early, months in advance, 2, 3, 4 months in advance, then it's a little bit easier for you to people convince. If you get the letter today, then you can always request a letter 2, 3 months later, right? Is there a place where you can get help in preparing SOP and letter of recommendation? Again, I mean, if you just Google it, you're gonna see a lot of information. Again, as I said, I've made a video on SOP. You can watch that one if you like. Is publication necessary? No, publications are not necessary, but it's great to have publications. Oh, I think the questions are moving too fast. What's the best time to email professor for an acceptance letter? You don't really need an acceptance letter in the US, unlike China or many other countries. Here, you're just trying to get a positive response from a professor if he or she encourages you to apply so that you can formally go and apply. So it's okay. And by the way, even if you get refused in a visa interview, try to learn from it and reapply. Because a lot of time people are scared, they are not confident, or the consultants apply for them. I mean, my main goal is to help students, so that's why I'm telling them, do not waste your money with a consultant. Try to apply on your own. So, would it be possible to get a funding once GPA is less than 3, but have the publications? I think that's yes, you have chances if you have publications. Have a teaching experience university level, please guide me. That's also good if you have a teaching experience. I think that would be you can always make your case that you love teaching, you're very passionate about teaching, and now you wanted to do a PhD, and of course, after a PhD you want to be a professor and so on and so forth. So it can be very helpful. 3 masters in psychology in 2020 and 2 published articles. GP is more than 3, IELTS 6, and one is. I think if you can improve your IELTS score, that can be helpful, because it's always good to have a score of 6.5 or higher, but it also depends on which school you're applying. If you have a score of 6 and your university is accepting 6, then you're fine. Send the details of the procedure admission in the US and universities and admissions and the visa. Again, Shehzad Ali, I'm sorry. Shehzad, you can go to my YouTube channel. There is a lot of videos on how to apply. I think one of the most important video or one of the very useful video I would highly recommend you to watch is how to apply in US universities. Make sure you have a pen and paper because I try to make these videos in a very concise manner, in a very comprehensive manner. So make sure you write down everything which is important to you. And of course, if you still have questions, then you can always contact me. How long it takes to get the PR? Some people are able to get the PR maybe like in 6 months. Sometimes people get in a year, 2 year, 3 years. So it all depends, right? Send the details for the admission in the US. So I think I just shared, you can watch my video on how to apply in US universities. If US citizen is sponsored, that's a red flag. I think so. How can you justify in the visa interview? I think again, I'm not a visa expert or anything like that, but I talk with many students who are either given the visa or they got their visas rejected. What I would recommend you is to, if you have a sponsor in your own country, that would be the best. Can I apply for master's degree in nursing? I think so, yeah. Nursing is very competitive, very great field. I think you can apply. Is necessary to have publication for PhD? No, it is not necessary. Do publication increase chances? Yes, I think publications can really increase your chances of getting admission. I have a UK master's degree. Should I need IELTS? Again, I don't know exactly, but you can always contact either the graduate program director or the admissions office and ask this question to them because it really varies from university to university. What's the best time to apply for PhD? Again, about 8 to 10 months before your PhD starts. So now the admissions are just about to open and they will remain open for 2, 3, 4, or 5 months in general, because again, it varies, right? Some are opening now and they'll be closing in 2 months. Some are opening now and they'll be closing in 4 or 5 months. So, and most of these admissions are going to be for fall 2025, which is basically August 2025. So again, it's good to apply about 10 months or 8 to 10 months in advance. Okay. Sir, could we move to US if we have a Russian master's degree? Yeah, why not? Of course, you can. Is there any place where we can help the SOP? Again, as I said, yes, you can go online, or you can watch my video on SOP. Can I get a postdoctoral opportunity in US? Yes, you can try to Shafak Momina. You can try this academickeys.com. It's a website great for a postdoc, or go to higheredjobs.com. Again, all of these websites and links, you can always watch my video, and then you can either write it down, or if you forget, then you can always watch them again. What's the best procedure for masters? Same procedures for which I've just explained. Nothing really good or bad. I have dependent with me, as UK allows a dependent full-time. In general, if you're on F1 visa, student visa, your dependents are not allowed to work. So in USA, what's the scenario for dependents? In general, dependents are not allowed to work. However, your dependents can, if they have a little kids, then they can go and study in school. Okay, the one of the question is from Ahmed Mustafa. I have done MPhil in biochemistry and I want to do PhD. I have a family with children. Is there any scholarship for your university? Is it required bank statement? I have no such amount. Again, yeah, apply for a PhD program in chemistry or biochemistry, and your kids, as I said, can go to school for free. And if you were given assistantship, then you would not have to pay mainly to the university for any tuition, and then you'll be getting a monthly stipend, and based on that monthly stipend, you and your family can live. Is a fresh graduate with PhD scholarship, because of most universities demand experience, so that we can tackle this one. No, I don't think many universities require any experience. Fresh graduates are always welcome to apply. What's the main thing we are focused on, which has helped us to secure admission in PhD? I think good GPA, and if you have a good IELTS or TOEFL, or if you have a GRE, those are important as well. Great recommendation letters from famous people. Great GRE score. If you have done any research experience, that can help as well. Okay, I'll just take maybe for next about 5 minutes or so. If you have any questions, you can type it up and then we'll try to wrap up our session. So, what's the rule for the maternal leaves during PhD? A lot of students are getting maternal leave. There should not be any problem that because that's a state law or the federal regulation. So they will give you some leave on that. Is there a place where you can okay, you're asking the same question again, Fatma. As I said, please look online or you can watch my videos. Can you please explain some scholarship sites and guides? In general, there's not really any websites whole lot, but you can always visit the professors' web pages where they can mention. And many university professors are always looking for students, so just write them an email. What's the visa ratio? I'm sorry, I have no idea about the visa ratio. You can use Empower Financing Support Letter as a bank statement. I'm so sorry, I don't know what is that. Tell me about MS scholarship. Same thing here. We have explained it's the same procedure for master's or PhD. You have young children. Is it possible to easily manage PhD studies in the US while raising them? Yes, many students raise their children and at the same time complete their PhD. So stay motivated. You can do it. Is IELTS necessary for getting postdoctoral opportunity? Most of the time, no. IELTS is not necessary. Okay, I got a sponsored for F4 visa. I don't know what is F4. There's F1 and F2, but it's a wait time too long. Can I get F1 visa because F4 is an immigrant visa? Yeah, F1 is a student visa and F2 is this dependent of F1. So I think you can apply for those ones. These are usually processed really fast. Sir, how can I reach out to you? Please share your email. I mean, I can give you my email, but it's because I get so many emails, and I apologize. I've not was not able to respond. When I look at my email, I see hundreds of them. So it's always, I'm again, I'm doing this. I'm a full time professor. I'm trying to help these students. I'm not making any money, so I'm just trying to do this on a volunteer basis. But any case, my email is it's a one word, Professor Waseem Haider. Professor, Professor, Waseem, Waseem, Haider, Haider @gmail.com. Professor Waseem Haider @gmail.com. GPA, again, the higher the better, but I think in general, 3.3 or higher is a good GPA. Okay, I'm applying for a PhD in epidemiology at University of Alabama, Birmingham. So the question is, should I focus on admission requirements? Also try to I think it's also good to contact professors and tell them that you're interested, and that I think show your motivation, show your passion with them, and that should be helpful. Every university requirement is IELTS. I don't have to detract me. I can apply without IELTS, and later on I'll do it. Again, it depends on the university, so contact them, and there may be an opportunity for you. I think most of you guys are tired, and I'm tired too. It's almost 1 hour that we have been talking. I'm looking at my computer screen and trying to answer your questions. Um, so thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the very best. Towards the end, I want to tell you that you all can get admission. You can all get scholarship. There are hundreds of thousands of people apply in thousands of universities every year in the US. I mean, most of those requirements are online. Okay, if you carefully go through the requirements, try to fulfill them, apply online. If you're confident, if you do everything on your own, trust me, you don't have to worry about visas as well. I've seen very few cases where F1 visa got rejected, unless if you try to play, if you do illegally, if you speak lies, if you do something wrong, then yes, you can get rejected. But if you're honest, if you are trustworthy, if you really apply hard on your own, and if you're doing everything correctly, you should be good to go. Yes, there is a direct PhD chance if your GPA is 3.1 in software engineering. It is very good. Harvard, what is that here? And Chain School Public Health. Yes, you can apply. I mean, again, if you were a top of the top students, again, even the average or low ranked university is really, really good in the US. So any university you get into is probably going to be a good school. So, I mean, get out of that thing, Howard, MIT, Stanford, that these are the only Berkeley, UPenn, Brown, these are the only schools. No, there are hundreds and thousands of other schools you can apply to, and those are also very good schools. Okay. So it has been almost 1 hour that I've been talking. So once again, thank you very much for your time. We really, really appreciate it. Maybe I'll just stay here for 1 or 2 more minutes, just in case if you have a quick last second question. And if not, I wish you all the best. I come online time to time and trying to encourage people to apply and get scholarships. Stay confident, especially the young girls. I want you to apply, work hard. You can do it. Also, the young boys, you are the leader of the families, or you will be the leaders of the families. So work hard, get scholarships, come to US. I think it's a great you know opportunity for you guys to apply. Okay. With that being said, uh, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.